Welcome back to BGP. You know, people become couples every day. People break up every day. And normally, when people break up, if you thought that you were seeing a great relationship, you start asking questions. You want to know why they broke up. And after that's been explained, what's going on lately is, did you see any red flags? And
Mhm.
so once you disclose the red flags, mm, you should have looked into a little deeper. Then the next thing that's said is that if this continues to happen to you over and over again, that you don't know how to properly vet a person for a healthy relationship. So my question is for the audience and for you, Nisha Williams. From your experience and the knowledge that you have today, how would you assist a young woman in properly vetting a man in a way that is as harmless as possible?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Oh, okay. I would start with getting to know that person, asking questions, investigating. Um, in today's climate, because of certain things that have taken place, background check. I would look into what's his family life. Is he, does he come from single parent or a two parent home? Was it a healthy, upbringing or a dysfunctional upbringing? Because that matters because we all come from different backgrounds. So how does that, and are you ready for something like that? I would start with those basic questions when getting to know said individual and start to take it from there. Like start with the basic of those questions. Yeah. You?
Okay, for me, I think the first initial thing that we as women should do is to vet ourselves,
Mm.
have a self examination of who you are as a woman,
Mhm.
not the fantasy woman, not the woman that you think everybody should like, or the woman that's going to be the most successful, the woman that you are today. And take inventory of the little quirks you have about relationships, the little BS you're going to bring into the relationship, your boundaries, and how those might affect a relationship, because you have to know yourself first
Mhm.
in order to get what you are trying to achieve. Second of all, I think that you need to know, girl, what the hell you want? What do you want? Do you want an experience? Do you want a marriage? And then you go from there. You meet this individual, you start talking to this individual,
Mhm.
and let's say that you want to be married in a year and a half. I think Nisha kind of alluded to it in the another episode, but if you know you want to be married in a year, I wouldn't say that I wanted to be married in a year, but I would ask that man, where do you see yourself in a year?
Mhm.
And his response may be, I want to be married in a year. I want to have children in a year. But we need to take that a little further, because that might be true, but he might not want to be married to you. He might not want to have children with you. So you keep that in the back of your mind. But if this man says, oh, I'm going to be working on myself, oh, I want to go to the gym more, oh, I want to start a podcast, or I want to open up a business, then listen to that,
Mhm.
because in that explanation said no way that he wanted to be married and start a family. And I
Mhm.
think that sometimes as women, we jump the gun, or we think that I could change his mind. If
Right.
I do X, Y, and Z, that he is going to, want to choose me as a woman, or a wife, or, a partner. So that's where I would start.
Yeah, I like that because I do agree. Like when you typically ask a man about his future, if his future doesn't include, some of the things that you're looking for, or it kind of gives you an idea of where you stand. I do agree with that. I think that You have to be careful with that though, because it could be tricky. Some uh, men or women could, say the key words that they know that you're looking for. Because there are some people that are really good at, as I call it, test taking. They really good with their resume, and then later on you realize they just got a professional resume. They're really not who they say they are. So you have to take that into consideration. And I'm thinking of, like, what you're saying. If we're putting it into the description of, let's say, a baby that's just turning 18,
Hmm.
just entering the real world, they know they want to be married. They're saying that already. Like, I want to get married. I want children. I want the family. I want the quote unquote white picket fence. And we're saying, well, you got to know you first. Who are you? They can't really answer that question. They don't know. They don't know because they still got to figure themselves out. So then it's like, do you tell them you need to get to know you first? You need to, it's okay to date, but I don't know about it being for long term yet because you don't know who you are or what you like? Or do you say, okay, well, what is it that you're looking for in a mate and why? And how does that complement you? Like, what do you tell them?
I think at any age you kind of know who you are. There's evolutions to aging.
Mm-hmm.
There's evolutions to maturity.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're old don't mean you're mature.
Very true.
However, I think that if you're looking for marriage, surround yourself around married people.
Mm-hmm.
See why they're married
Mm-hmm.
and the difficulties of their marriage and the things that they had to do to compromise, the things that they overlooked, the things that pissed them off, and they got to hold their tongue and at the end of the day, but they still want to be with that person. You're going to have to find out if you are that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in any relationship, for women, keep your legs closed. Um, Let that relationship transform organically. Um, I light up when I see his voice on the phone. I light up when I'm in his presence. He's a gentleman. He opens the door for me. He cares about me. He thinks about me. He's initiating calls first. He's calling. He's making plans because, you say you want a leader. Let's see how he leads.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how he has maintained his life,
Mm-hmm.
the accomplishments that he has as a single man. And if you can see that progressing and you can see yourself intertwined with that type of relationship, take your time. Make him prove some things. Again, yeah. But I think organic is the best way. How you move with a person when there's no loud music, when there's nobody looking, when it's just you and him. Can you guys hold conversations
Mm-hmm.
on different levels, from sports to politics and whatever it is you're looking for? Does that man give that to you?
Mm-hmm.
Is it genuine, not artificial? Is it not a fantasy to you, something you're hoping for in the future? That's how I think that you vet a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that. I guess I'm just looking at it like from the other side of, like, can you handle disagreements and how?
Yeah.
Can you handle disappointments and how?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when, a disappointment happens, whether you lose a job or your money is funny or, you didn't get that promotion or, is that at the top of your thing versus being in a healthy relationship or marriage? Is marriage on the line? Is marriage goals? Is marriage goals? Because some men, especially younger men, are not looking for marriage at that time. They're looking to enjoy enjoy everything before they finally settle down. As we've seen in today's climate, we have men in their like 40s and 50s and 60s that have never been married and really don't want to get married. They just want to, you know, both older and younger women. So it's like, do you, how do I want to ask this? Do you, we had an episode recently where we said how soon is too soon to reveal your marriage goals. So in that moment, how how soon do we like investigate into getting to that answer of kind of are they on the same page as us?
Like I say, nothing is guaranteed, but I
Yeah.
think that what's gonna be gonna be. You know,
Yeah.
it's it's gonna be authentic or it's not.
Mhm.
And this is not the time to play games.
Yeah.
This is not the time to be immature. This is not the time to want something and they don't want to give it back into return.
Mhm.
If it's not reciprocated immediately,
Yeah.
then you need to go. I think one of the biggest problems that women have is that they stay too long.
Agreed.
Or they say, if I try this, then he'll do this. If I be like this, then he'll be like that. I think that you have to be honest about what you want,
Mhm.
and that a lot of times we substitute
Mhm.
for what we want. Oh, we'll just take this until we get that. And
Mhm.
it's tearing down us as women,
Mhm.
us as accomplishing our goals. I'm saying that once you know what you want, stay in that lane.
Mhm.
Don't go over here because you're bored.
Mhm.
Don't go over here because you're horny. Don't go over here because all your girls have men and you don't
And you're
have one.
desperate.
You stay the course.
Yeah.
And I think if you stay the course, eventually you're going to get what you want.
Mhm.
I think it's about timing, and I think it's about connection
Mhm.
and the communication and wanting the same things, and seeing that come to fruition.
Mhm.
You know, going from here to there. We we have good communication. You know, we have fun together.
Mhm.
We look out for each other. He wants to know if I'm hungry. I want to know if he's hungry. He asks, how was your day? I
Mhm.
ask how, the things that you want, because I can't tell her what makes her happy. She can't tell me what
We're
makes
not
me
mind
happy.
readers.
Yeah, but whatever it is that you want, make sure you're getting that.
Yeah.
I think that's key.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. It matters. It matters. It definitely has to be mutual. It shouldn't be one sided. You know, see if that person is investing in you as much as you're investing in them. And I
Yeah.
don't mean financially, but I mean like everything as far as the conversations, the triumphs, the disappointments, the family, the everything to see if you guys are compatible. And that goes back to kind of what we talked about not too long ago on a previous episode about Meg. In my opinion, I don't think it's something that you should be able to just get through within 30 days or 60 days. I think it takes time. However, there are exceptions to the rule where we've heard stories where people like, I met so and so in one day and by, 2 weeks we was already engaged and we've been together forever. Like, we know there's always exceptions, but in a healthy dynamic, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, in my opinion. The phrase that they say, like, I want to experience the person in all seasons, not just one season.
Mm-hmm.
So experience that person and see if that's what it is, if he or she is what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think experiencing somebody in all seasons, I have to agree with that. You want to know what they do with conflict resolution.
Hmm.
You want to know if they blow up, if you
Hmm.
like that blow up, if you could
Hmm.
deal with that blow up. A man might could holler at me and a man might not could holler at her,
Sure can.
depending on what what it is that your deal breakers. Yeah, all seasons. Like she said, if he loses his job, how he treats people.
Hmm.
Be around long enough to see his patterns. How he gets excited around his homeboys. How he interacts with his family. And here's the thing that Nisha said earlier that I kind of want to expound on. Does he come from a healthy relationship, or You know, there are some men out here that have parents that have been in loving relationships for 30, 40 years and they don't see any value in that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is kind of iffy because at the end of the day, people take those two DNAs and they mix it and they become their own person. And although their parents come from, they come from two-parent households, they don't, it's something about that they don't want to be in, so that's a part of it. But if they're not moving in that direction, you might want to look out for, don't be, I'm just trying to say, don't be fooled if they come from a two-parent household, because we're seeing more and more that the people that do come from that are not following that same path. Yeah, be that person's friend, you know. And friendship is going to be different than a relationship, but see how that person moves. Why are they not in a relationship? Why haven't they reached the goal of marriage and family and legacy? What happened to their last relationships, and see if they're going to be honest about that. And what are their deal breakers? What do they want? And does that match with what you want? How are we going to raise a family? What kind of school are we going to send them to? What kind of religion are we going to involve ourselves in? Can we coexist if I'm a Catholic and you're a Buddha? All those things come into play, and all of those things are going to be hashed out at that table between you and him, not somebody else's relationship, what the two of us are going to do together, and how honest are we going to be about accomplishing that, if it's just not small talk and fluff, or like you say, something for him to be able to get into your pants. Let's see it pan out and take your time. And I'm not saying 5 years. I'm not saying 3 years. Like what I said, whatever your goal is, you're going to find that person that matches your goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's go back to the two-parent thing, because I know when I said it earlier, I said it like a healthy two parents, because a lot of people just automatically assume if you come from a two-parent home, you're perfect. And it's like, no, that's not true, because you can have two individuals living in a home and they're miserable as fuck. Miserable. You got mama cheating on daddy, or daddy cheating on mama. You got daddy putting his hands on mama behind the doors, or mama putting her hands on daddy. You got disrespect that could be happening that we have no clue. That's why I said, look at everything, look at the whole family dynamic, because sometimes just because it's two people in that marriage doesn't mean doesn't mean that it was healthy. They could have been cheating for years, but they still ain't, that nobody left. And so because they like, we got to do this for the kids, and really they're doing a disadvantage for said kids, because now when the kids become adults, they're like, fuck marriage. Cam Newton, right? Nick Cannon, right? You're seeing all these different people. Klay Thompson, right? You're seeing all this happen. So it's like you have to look at the bigger picture. Like, was it a healthy dynamic? What did you learn from your father in a relationship with your mom as a woman? What did you learn from your mother in a relationship with your father? And is that something similar to what you're looking for in a relationship with your person? Because a lot of times, sometimes, especially for women, we will say, I want a man like my father. A lot of times, because he was strong, he was financially stable, he was a go-getter, he was a hustler. He didn't take no as the final answer. He kept going. He believed in marriage, or he was in a relationship. A lot of women will say that. And a lot of men will say, I want a woman like my mama because she did everything for me. She showed me how to. She was the first person that my experience with being with a woman, not sexually, but I mean, she's the first person that showed me what it is that I should be looking for, if it was a healthy dynamic, right? So it's like that's kind of why I threw that in there, because people automatically just assume two parent versus single mom, of course.
So, let me add a little bit more to that, because she wants somebody like her father. He wants somebody like his mother. You got to kind of look out for that too, because sometimes that's at a surface level, because you never know all the time what your father is going through being with your mother, what your mother is going through, being with your father. And I think it's important for you to ask those type of questions too. Did you see your father cheating on your mother? Did you see any abuse in your family? And when you saw it, did you think it was justified? You know, some people see stuff and be like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to handle something. And like you said, healthy. Do you think that was healthy? And if they say, oh, yeah, you know, my mom used to get her butt kicked or my dad used to get his butt kicked. And
But
that's just that's just how people interact. You know, that might be a red flag for you too. I think asking those deep questions. And I think a lot of times we don't want to ask the questions because when a man, oh, you being nosy, and then he's going to leave me, so I'm just going to be quiet. No, asking questions up front. Everything that you need to know, everything that you want to know, ask those questions. And if he doesn't want to answer them, let him leave.
Yeah.
You know, if you're talking too much, let him leave,
Yeah.
because there's nothing that a healthy couple should not be able to talk about.
Yeah. I say ask the difficult questions up front. I really do. Like get comfortable with being uncomfortable initially, so you can kind of see what you have an idea or a glimpse into what you're dealing with, in my opinion. So yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that. Yeah.
No relationship is 100% all good
Perfect.
and all fun, and you know, see what, like I say, your boundaries are, and what your deal breakers are, and what their deal breakers are, and can you bend? Can you be flexible? Can you compromise? Or are you going to be like, I'm not going for that? You know, yeah. Final thought.
I think this is a really good discussion, because the more and more I see what's out there on these social media streets, I feel like, and I know we've kind of talked about this before, nobody really was taught, especially in our community, how to go after being in a healthy relationship. I don't even want to just say date, because dating is just, as we know, just gaining info on one another. But you know, the going from dating to the courting to marriage, well, engagement to marriage, nobody really discussed that anymore, in my opinion. And I think it should be had. I think you should get as much information on one another as possible to see if that person is a fit for you and you are a fit for that person. Like, do you guys, I hate to use those keywords, but align in the vision for both of you? You know, together versus being apart. Do you make better friends as opposed to a relationship? Or can you do both? Like, I think all of that matters when vetting and getting to know someone. Does that person believe that a white lie is a deal breaker, or are they cool with little small lies? Because some people, that's a deal breaker. They can't handle any lies at all. Can you deal with a person that has health ailments? Because some people can't. ED.
You stupid.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Like blood pressure. Is that a deal breaker? Um, Menopause, because they say we go crazy. Dang, I'm not supposed to use that word. I forget. But like, are you okay with that? Are you okay with um, disagreements that could be, some people would consider dysfunctional? Because there's some people that come from backgrounds, when they have disagreements, they call people names. Can you handle that? Can you handle the raising of your voice? When you're having a disagreement, can you? And here's a big one, because I know some men, this breaks their spirit, I've been told. Silent treatment. Can you handle that? Because I've heard that usually kind of helps a man just go on out there and dip, because they can't deal with the silent treatment going for days or weeks where nobody talks to one another. And they probably saw that from, how they was raised. So it's like, can you deal with that? Like, all of these questions should be asked and discussed, and you should truly take your time getting to know a person, as opposed to just brushing into something because said person looks good, you know. So yeah, that would be my final thoughts. Take your time.
Yeah, remember that, like Nisha said, dating is for collecting data. It is not for swapping fluids. It's for gathering information to see if the two of you are compatible enough to engage into a healthy monogamous relationship. Um, Again, like we said, don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. Take your time, get to know each other. enjoy each other, take those long walks, have those conversations, put a little music on and dance around. See, does that person like to travel? You like to travel and he ain't never got off the block.
Right.
Is that a deal breaker? Be honest with yourself about your wants, your needs, and your desires. If that person cannot fulfill all of them, do you want a person to fulfill 100% of your desires? Or you can take 90%. Be honest with yourself. Can you give me 85 and I'll be cool? That's my final thought. Like, share, subscribe, BGP, and we are out.
Bye.